In the previous training video, we took a look at service provider invoices and timesheets. In this training video, we'll take a look at the process payroll workflow. The process payroll workflow begins by reviewing the submitted invoices and timesheets, approving them for payment, and ends with the running of the payroll reports. To begin the process, let's visit the Process Payroll option under the billing menu. On this screen, we can see a list of the names of all the service providers that need to be processed for the current pay period. For each service provider, we can see whether they are a freelance or staff provider, and the total amount due to them. For each one of these service providers, we would click on the Process Invoice icon, which is the one that looks like money. Now we are looking at all of the details of the invoice or timesheet for this service provider. We can review those details to make sure that everything looks correct. If we do find problems with the invoice, we can click the Unsubmit Invoice button. What this button will do is it will return the invoice into the open status so that we can make corrections to it. If there are no problems with the invoice, we can click on the Add to Payroll Reports button. What this button will do is it will mark this invoice or timesheet as processed so that it will show up in the payroll reports. Let's go ahead and add this invoice to the payroll reports. After we're finished with checking all of the invoices and timesheets for this pay period, we would visit the Payroll Reports option, which is under the billing menu. On this screen, we can see an overview of the company expenses for each pay period. We have the total amount we paid out for work during business hours, during non-business hours, and for travel expenses. For each pay period, we can pull up two additional reports. These are the freelance and the staff reports. Both reports work exactly the same way, with the only difference being that the freelance service providers appear in one report and staff service providers appear in the other. We're going to take a look at the freelance report and see what it looks like. In here, we see many columns. The first two columns, the service provider name and the payroll file number columns, are always present. The rest of these columns are completely configurable. To configure these columns, we would visit the payroll report column setting under the billing menu. Let's add a new payroll column by clicking on the Create a New Payroll Report column button. Each column has a name, which is displayed as the column heading. The order of the columns in the reports are controlled by the sort index. Columns with the lower sort index appear before columns with a higher sort index. Next, we need to decide whether this column is used in the freelance payroll report or the staff report, or both. The value override field is used to force a certain value to appear in all rows of the report under this column. This is mainly used to help make these reports compatible with some third-party software. Let's save this column now by clicking on the Save Changes button. Now we need to tell USCED how to use the column we just created. We do this by going to the Service Provider Pay tab in the settings for a service code. There are two identical sections here, with the first section being used for the freelance payroll report and the second section being used for the staff payroll report. Within each section, there are 3 fields for business hours, 3 fields for non-business hours, and there are some additional fields for fees, travel expenses, and travel miles. What these do is allow us to control where these values go in the payroll reports. We may decide that we want to keep things simple. By having USCHED add up everything owed to each service provider into just one column in our payroll report. Or we may decide that we want to be super detailed and have USCHED break up the amount owed into separate columns. We can also have a mix of the two extremes by having some service codes report the amount owed into one column, with the other service codes breaking down the amount owed into multiple columns. These 5 amount fields are additive, which means they can be accumulated into a single row on the report. These 2 time fields are also additive as well. And these 2 rate fields are not additive. If you have a rate column present in your report, USCHED will separate out the pay to each service provider into multiple rows for service providers that have different pay rates being used. This concludes the training for the process payroll workflow.